If you like the video, then please consider supporting Slopes Game Room on Patreon. We all have the ability to start a crowdfunding campaign, the ability to make a video and sell our brilliant new idea to the world. And although sometimes that works out pretty great, other times not so much. And today we're going back to the list formula of Kick Scammer episodes, but with a few differences. Firstly, it's 6 projects that failed you rather than 5. And secondly, they was all started by this guy. Recognise him, do ya? Think you've seen him before? Well, if you watch The Walking Dead, which I'm sure plenty of you do, this guy was from Season 6, Episode 16 as a background actor, and is now better known as the Pickaxe Saviour. But that's not all, far from all in fact, because when the Pickaxe Saviour isn't saving the world, he's stealing from 3,619 members of it. 6 Kickstarter campaigns opened up between December 6, 2013 and March 2015, asking for a combined total of $101,500, but raking in a combined total of $177,095. All of which, so far, have not been fulfilled. So, let's get straight into it. I'm DJ Slope, and this is the Kickstarter scammer who ran away with your money 6 times so far. Welcome to Slope's Game Room.
Oh look, a whole group of internet stalkers following me around. How cute. See what you can find out about my college football days, maybe see I was all-state football in 85, or look to see that in 94 to 95 I grew Gen Con's attendance by 22% each year, or find my 200-year-old hotel worth over $6 million, or look up and see that I have sold more copies of games and magazines than everyone stalking me on this list. Let me end this thread with one last question. If you people are so smart, how come you're not rich?
This is not edited in any way, and is one of the many ridiculous quotes taken straight from the Pickaxe Saviour's mouth, Ken Whitman, on the 28th of August 2007 on a forum from the popular website rpg.net. But before we get into the campaigns themselves, I think it's safe to say that Ken is quite the accomplished chap, and no crappy little internet video bashing this poor decision making douche like this one is gonna change that. So, what has he done exactly? Well, he ran Gen Con, the original longest running gaming convention in the world. He owns the lovely looking Hotel Do Run Inn B&B, he owns the Little Monsters game and comic shop, he has his own web series, and just like he said himself, he's obviously very rich. But on top of this, as previously mentioned, he's in The Walking Dead, as well as Baby Driver, Stepsisters, Definitely Divorcing, True Memoirs of an Eternal Assassin, Thank You for Your Service, Fate and the Furious, and finally, he's a stand-in background actor on that new Ant-Man movie that's coming out. Guys, should we just end it here? Ken is obviously bloody successful. You can't take away that absolute wild ride that this guy's had throughout his career. You know what? Colour me impressed. But you know how these things go. What goes up must come crashing down. And with that in mind, I think it's about time we take a look at Kickstarter number 1. Yeah, this one isn't exactly for me. A live action version of some comic strip that within the right circles, those circles being tabletop role-playing board gamers, turned out to be pretty damn popular, and it's still going strong to this very day. And although it isn't for me, it obviously is the right sort of thing for 795 backers. With an estimated delivery of August 2015 over 2 years later, it has still not been released. There are crazy amounts of tiers to choose from with this one, pretty much all of which are completely bogus. Everything from the thank you emails to seeing behind the scenes creations whilst it's being made, and $250 to get limited edition signed books. A book that's so, limited that he sold it himself on his website before the campaign even went live, and the creator of the strips also was selling them on eBay. Anyway, episode 1 of the show, after plenty of delays, was eventually complete and available on Ken's very own YouTube page, whilst episodes 2 and 3 are also apparently available to backers only on the Kickstarter page. A premiere of the show was promised to be aired at Gen Con, along with an after party with the stars of the show that Ken would host. And looking at the D20 Entertainment website via the good old Wayback Machine, because D20's website is no longer active, you can actually see that Ken was selling tickets for the event. Plus, backers of the original Kickstarter that pledged $450 were promised front row seats as part of their reward. There was just one problem with all this. Ken hadn't officially booked a venue, and he hadn't even invited the actors. Fans tried to rally a last minute thing together, but with it being so close to the event, it proved difficult. Thankfully, good old Ken came to the rescue only 26 hours before the event, booking a restaurant, and although he was apparently seen in the back room, he never showed his face once, even though he promised that he would. The last minute shambles put together mostly by fans and backers was apparently good enough in Ken's eyes to fulfill his backers that had pledged $450. When let's be honest, it definitely wasn't. Anyway, those 3 very early rough cuts of the series were shown, and nothing else has been seen since. Even though the footage was apparently filmed, or at least partially filmed, Ken hasn't edited it together for release, let alone sent out rewards to the vast majority of backers, and there are even rumours that the footage that was recorded has gone completely, as another company's tried to step in to take over, but Ken has not passed on any of the raw materials, as he still wants to do it himself. But let's be honest, with a Kickstarter page that hasn't been updated since August 2016, I think it's safe to say that Ken hasn't got any real intention on finishing this project. And why not, I hear you ask? Well, let's look at what else he's been doing. I'm adding these two together as they're not only similar, but mostly because we got a lot to get through. So Spinwood Traveller is yet again another show that Ken wanted to make, and is based on another popular board game of the same name. Yet again another project that hasn't been updated, and it's way past its completion date. Albeit just one 22-minute episode this time, and was also supposed to be shown at Gen Con. But as you would expect, it wasn't. A rather Sci-Fi Channel-esque movie at best clip was shown, but that was on September 11th, 2016, and nothing has happened since then. The vast majority of backers never managed to get their hands on any of the rewards, including the resin figures for the higher price tiers. But don't you worry about that, because someone has sold a load of these figures to Noble Knight Games, who's been chucking them up on eBay. You literally can't make this scammy mess up, can ya? And when the project ran out of money, as these things do from time to time, he even had the cheek to ask for an extra tenner from each backer. But that is just Traveller. What about Castles and Crusades Beyond the River? Well, here it is. Yet another TV pilot that Ken wanted to make. Well, I suppose in this one, we get to all witness him being kicked in the balls, so yeah, that's something. Again, this one is being made based on a role-playing game of the same name, and just like the last one, he had the board game designer behind him even making an appearance in the Kickstarter campaign video. But surely Ken can't take on 3 TV shows at once, right? Well, when he was interviewed and asked this very question by Dan at the Hardboiled GM Shoes office blog, he responded with,
Knights of the Dinner Table has been shot and will be fully edited by the end of the year. Traveller shoot for 1 week in November and will be edited in Jan and Feb. Castles and Crusade shoots in mid-February to have that winter feel. That'll all be the only projects we work on until Gen Con 2015. 3 items is about what we can handle.
Well, obviously, as we all know, that was rubbish. Not only are both the shows still not finished, but the next 3 Kickstarters, which we'll get to in a minute, all started before Gen Con 2015, making D20 Entertainment look after 6 projects at the same time. Anyway, back to this one. Castles and Crusades Beyond the River was Conman Ken's attempt at cashing in on that Game of Thrones hype train, and he even had plans to pitch the thing to companies like Netflix. In a nutshell, it went like this. Steve Chenault, the creator of the original role-playing game, wrote a script and sent it in to Ken for approval. After all, it was a joint venture. Initially it was accepted, but for whatever reason, Ken asked Steve to rewrite it. He did, and that was also approved, but then all of a sudden it was slapped aside because Ken decided he wanted to give it a go himself. This time it was Steve that wasn't a fan and he didn't approve of the new script. So, Ken decided to ignore the creator's wishes and remove the Castles and Crusaders logo from the eventual pilot. You know, the reason 125 backers had backed the thing in the first place. And that is it. Time for our good old Ken to do what he does best and go completely silent once again, with the final backers only update being pumped out on July 17th, 2016, and no sign of the show ever being released. Bloody hell, Ken. 3 failed Kickstarters? Come on, mate, what have you been doing? Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is of course a segue into the final 3. Yes, I'm squishing all 3 into one segment. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking the same thing. Ken, why the bloody hell are you starting up another 3 Kickstarters when you got 3 already open, full to the brim with wound up backers? Well, in his defense, Pencil Dice, it's a pretty good idea actually. A Kickstarter without a video that only needed $1,000 to get going, and it easily hit that within only 12 hours of it going live. Oh, and by the way, that extra $37,161 earned didn't go on making a better product, but instead went into those original 3 Kickstarters. Thanks, Pencil Dice fans. Anyway, the Kickstarter reads:
You're a tabletop gamer, and you love dice. And you love your pencil. So why not combine the 2 things you love into one awesome, multitasking, ass-kicking game accessory? The basic pencil dice are white with black dots. They have an eraser and work like any number 2 pencil you have used your whole life. It's a pencil, and it's a 6-sided die. You know you want them.
Actually, you know what, Ken? I do want them. So I'm going to go to this website and buy one. Yes, this is where Conman Ken stole the idea. But that's not all he stole. Sebastian, the original creator, explains the product on his own website. The simple addition of dice markings to a 6-sided pencil makes all the difference. Just roll the pencil to utilise its dice function. Well, would you believe that Ken even stole poor old Sebastian's marketing too when promoting it on Twitter?
The simple addition of dice markings to a 6-sided pencil makes all the difference.
Oh, will you shut up, Ken? You're taking the piss now, mate. Sorry, guys. Basically, the long and short of it is, printing issues after printing issues resulted in the campaign constantly being pushed back until mid-2017, whilst he starts on another project, RPG Pencil Dice. Yes, it's pretty much the same bloody product.
With the success of Pencil Dice, we asked you, the backers, what you would like to see, and RPG Pencil Dice were born.
I'm gonna quickly skim over this one. Instead of little dots, the 6-sided pencils now say things like head, right arm, left arm, torso. You get the idea. Right leg. Obviously it hit its goal. Obviously Ken hasn't updated any one of his backers in bloody ages, and obviously no one has got their products, got their rewards, or their money back. So, shall we move on to D20's final Kickstarter? Well, here it is. Deck Dice. In Ken's very own words,
it's a standard deck of cards that happen to have random polyhedral dice rolls on them. You know you want them.
No. You know what, Ken? I don't. But 184 backers did, and it obviously hit its goal once again. So, what went wrong this time? Why have you yet again not updated anyone since July 2016, and why has none of your backers got a custom deck of playing cards? Well, according to one of the backers, Ken, over at Ice Pack Games, in June 2015, it was on its way to the printers, and it expected to ship within 15 to 30 days. Over a year later, in between loads of random excuses and mind-numbing updates, in July 2016, Ken updated.
We have set a new release date for summer 2017.
Which has not only been the final update for all three of these campaigns, but for the educated among us, no, that's not including you, Ken, summer 2017, well, that's been and gone. Wow, what an absolute palaver. Ken, you are the ultimate kick scammer. I'm not sure I'm ever going to top this. I've never ever covered a campaign owner from any website that is more messed up than you, my money raking friend. But would you believe that Ken Whitman also has quite the colourful life outside of scammy Kickstarters too? Well, for your enjoyment, here's a couple of things that Ken's been up to that he probably shouldn't have been doing whilst looking after 3,619 backers. If anyone here is looking for someone to ordain their marriage, Ken can do it because he's a qualified minister. He's also a member of the Atlanta acting community and apparently has taken $250,000 for acting portfolios that, you guessed it, never materialised. And let's not forget one of the more recent scandals where he unknowingly sold knockoff props from the bloody Walking Dead. But in all honesty guys, as bad as this all sounds, it's not why we're all here. It's crowdfunding campaigns that we're interested in, and although Ken may have taken his shadiness outside of Kickstarter's walls, I can't 100% verify these claims. But if you do want to look into the twisted world of Ken Whitman even more, then feel free to check out these two dedicated blogs that have helped tremendously with the creation of this video, as they are made to shine light on Ken's wrongdoings, which, as you may have guessed, are both quite beefy. Links in the description.
I have 6 projects to do and people are coming after me on the internet.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
I only have 2 months left to get the deadline.
Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible.
I didn't say it was.
You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it!
Just don't know if I can.
Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
Look, I've been in this industry for 30 years. Maybe it's time to go to a new one.
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
You're right! I'm gonna do it! Do it!
Ken Whitman, aka D20 Entertainment. 6 times this pretend hard man has literally took the money and run to the hills. And if I was to look at this mess with any kind of positive spin, All I could say is that Ken may have not actually meant to scam anyone from the get-go, but it's the endless stream of getting ahead of himself that results in opening another Kickstarter, and another Kickstarter, and another Kickstarter. Little do passers-by know that when they're putting money towards any of these 6 doomed from the get-go campaigns, that they're unknowingly putting money towards older failed Kickstarters too. But to make things worse, these 6 failed Kickstarters are not the only ones, because there is another user on Kickstarter called Ken Whitman Games that created another 2 campaigns, one of which was this card game called Knight's Quest Family Card Game, that also got funded, and by the looks of it, 90% of the 196 backers who pledged $9,234 of its $6,000 goal never got their rewards either. And just like every other campaign, it hasn't had an update in bloody ages. In fact, the last update was to promote a couple of other Kickstarters. Not by Ken Whitman Games, oh no, but instead, D20 Entertainment. Yes, he's using one crappy campaign to promote another. And what's the other one he's promoting? Okay, that's fair enough. This hasn't actually got anything to do with Conman Ken. Has it? Well, when you look at his Facebook page, you're going to think differently. And unknowingly to those 43 backers who did pledge $6,001 of its $3,500 goal, they actually gave a nice chunk of the change to D20 Entertainment. This is yet another Kickstarter that has an endless stream of wound up backers behind it, with the odd few people that have actually received it being pretty wound up by the poor quality of the resin mould, which, you guessed it, was no doubt made by Ken, as he had experience with making resin products in the past. Thankfully, the campaign owner wasn't the massive fraudster that Ken was, and agreed to give a full refund. To this backer at least. The other Kickstarter that Ken Whitman Games did put out was yet another campaign that was designed to help tabletop players called Dice-Matic. That too did very well, with 135 backers slapping down $3,075 of a $1,000 goal. But thankfully, out of all of the 8 projects so far, Kickstarter actually stepped up and suspended funding on this one. Why? Because the idea was bloody stolen. Oh, I'm sorry, modified from this. But that is not all. Yes, Ken did contact the company to get modified versions of these bouncy ball houses, but little did he know, or maybe he did, who knows, that the Chinese manufacturer was actually making these for board games that we're all very familiar with. Those being Trouble and Sorry, which, let's be honest, is rather fitting for this video. Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley own these, and I think it's safe to say that these are the guys that got this Kickstarter canned. Look guys, I think we've covered Conman Ken, aka Ken Whitman, enough. If you get a whiff of D20 Entertainment or Ken Whitman, then do yourself a favour and stay well away from it. And if you are thinking on starting a Kickstarter or want a little bit more advice, then perhaps this closing statement from Ken himself will guide you down the right path. Do you feel the majority of your backers are satisfied and it is more of an issue with a vocal few that have caused so much stir on your project? Also, do you think after delivery that you will win back some of that vocal opposition?
I am producing a quality product. I hope it wins people over. What I learned from the Kickstarters is don't overpromise and do all your shipping at once.
Yeah, alright Ken, alright. There you go guys, talk about a crazy Kickstarter. And I promise you, I have really only scratched the tip of the iceberg with this one. Do go check out those blogs I spoke about earlier. Not only did they help out with the making of this episode, but there is so much more going on that this could have easily been Kick Scammer the movie. But anyway, I just want to give a massive shout out to the person that gave his vocal notes to this episode, Ashins, who by the way is someone that does know how to do crowdfunding campaigns, with 2 successful books and a movie to prove it. Oh, and by the way, that latest book, Attack of the Flickering Skeletons, is definitely worth a pickup because, well, I actually contributed to that one. I also want to give a shout out to my lovely wife Joanne, who did help with the research for this episode. Anyway, this is the part of the video where I give my usual shout outs to all of my Patreons, with a special shout out going to Ryan Burford, Joe Lazarez, Ian A. Chapman, Phil Lowlins, Yoshi Vu, Retro to Next Gen, Zane Powers, Gavin Whitman, Creamy Elephant, James Loveridge, Casey Garner Blitz, Hedgie Ben Hall, Taylor Almond, Gemma at Mr. T-Shirts, Michael, Todd Paul Float G, Petty Mew, Brian Rawson, Leo and Silson, Killer J Tacky, Kawa, and of course, Tiago Vieira dos Santos Silva. If you want to be part of this list, get your name shouted out, get your name shown, come and see what I'm working on, see videos like this early, plenty of other exclusive content, and well, loads of other rewards, all that sort of gumph, then please click the link that you see on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you prefer. But for now, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.